We will be starting. Can you share the recipe document? So today we will start with the Iyengar bakery plain cake. So using this plain cake, you can create so many different variations. And one of the variation that I'll be creating today is the ribbon cake. So ribbon cake is nothing but it's got colors in it. Plain cake does not have colors in it. This one just has colors and it's got ribbon streaks across the cake. So that is the ribbon cake. So today we will create ribbon cake. And the recipe which I'm going to do today, it's basically the plain sponge cake. And in the top angle, so you will have variations, so many variations which you can create with just by modifying few little things in the document, in the recipe. So you will get a PDF like this. And where in the PDF, it will be mentioned here. So from the plain sponge cake, what are the other variations that you can create and how you can create will be given here. All right. So the first variation is a ribbon cake, which is what we'll be doing today. Using the same recipe, you can create tutti frutti cake. You can create a pineapple cake. You can create an orange cake. You can create a fruit cake. All right. So all of these can be created using this particular recipe. And let's get started. So I will also tell you how are you going to bring these many changes. That also we will explain after we complete this recipe. All right. So let's get started. All right. So we don't give PDF in the beginning because numbers do not matter. It is the method. I want you guys to concentrate on the method. All right. So let's get started. So the method for most of the cakes are very, very similar. All right. Okay, I won't be seeing the chat until I tell you guys. All right, so the method for most of the cakes is quite simple. So here you have all the wet ingredients and here you have all the dry ingredients. We first start with dry ingredients in a small bowl. Take a small bowl and add in all the dry ingredients. So we have maida. Maida that I'm going to use is a normal maida, just regular maida. Salt. So salt is added to adjust sweetness. And then we have baking powder. And then we have baking soda. And then we're going to mix it up using a ball whisk. Add in the remaining maida also. So now here, let's see the other ingredients, wet ingredients. This is basically melted butter. You just take butter, microwave it for like 15 seconds to 20 seconds, and your butter melts. Then we have sugar, regular sugar, which is powdered, put in a mixie and powdered. Then we have condensed milk. And so here are the flavoring agents. We will know what is the flavoring agent that we are going to use. So here with this, how do we achieve a very tight crumb? How do we achieve a very cottony, super soft cake? We have one secret element, which is basically the cornstarch. So we are going to add cornstarch. I'm using regular cornstarch. You can use any cornstarch from any brand. I'm using Weakfield. It says corn flour, but this is actually cornstarch. Corn flour is usually the one which is yellow in color, maki ka atta. That is corn flour. And this cornstarch, which is white in color, which we normally use to thicken gravies or make custard, make many other, use it for many other purposes. We can use Weakfield, Brown and Paulson, any brand, whichever is available for you. So custard powder goes inside, and this custard powder is that is going to give that close, tight, crumbed bakery kind of cake. We're going to mix all the ingredients together into a small bowl. Mix it up and keep it aside. And now we will move into the wet ingredients. So when it comes to wet ingredients, we always start with a thicker element. So the thicker ingredient is condensed milk here. Condensed milk, I'm using Amul Mithai. You can use any brand, whichever is your personal preference. I'm using Amul. So condensed milk is used for taste. So most of the time, cakes with condensed milk have a good mouthfeel. And since this is an eggless cake, I am using condensed milk here. I'm using Amul Mithai, and then we are adding the sugar. Give me the see. Sugar. So this is basically regular sugar. Put in a mixie and grind it. Janika. I'm sieving the sugar so that we don't have any lumps. And it will be easy for us to mix it. Yeah. Spatula. Give me a thick spatula. So this is powdered sugar, not icing sugar. And then we add our flavoring. So flavoring, I'm using the brand IFF. So IFF is what is used in most of the bakeries, and I'm using IFF Bush 90. This is basically the good quality of IFF Bush, and this is my personal favorite. I really like this. Okay, vanilla flavor Bush 90, and there's a secret flavoring essence or flavoring that goes into most of the Iyengar bakery cakes. Can you guys guess what is it? There's one more secret flavor that goes into most of the Iyengar bakery cakes, which is dry cloth. Which is rose? No, not rose. American ice cream? Okay, no. Salt, milk? No, I'm talking about flavoring. Like just like vanilla, there's one more essence that goes inside. Yes, like some of you guessed it. Yes, pineapple goes inside. I did not get IFF pineapple, but if you get IFF pineapple, go use IFF pineapple. Today I'm using a brand called as Baker's. IFF pineapple is much more nicer. Pineapple essence, a little bit. And this is what is going to bring that bakery flavor. So we're going to first mix this up. You can also do this using a hand blender. If you're having, maybe if you're doing double recipe or triple recipe, a large quantity, you can use a hand beater. Since it's a small recipe, I'm just using a ball whisk. Mix slowly, just until the sugar starts dissolving. That is good enough. Don't create air pockets when you're using a hand beater. Use speed 1. Don't use a high speed. Don't create air pockets. And then we will add the next thicker element. And also, if you notice, the bakery sponge cakes have this a little bit of yellow food coloring. I'm using liquid food coloring. You can use any brand. So this yellow food coloring is something which I recommend. So please add this little bit of yellow food coloring. It's going to make your cake look so good. Just a little bit of yellow food coloring, and then goes in the butter. So the butter is melted and kept in room temperature. Don't add hot boiling butter into this. You have to make sure the melted butter has come to room temperature. And slowly incorporate it. Don't incorporate it too fast. I'm going to incorporate in little parts. Look at the way I am incorporating the sugar with the butter, little at a time from one side, while I'm rotating the bowl. So all of these steps will ensure that your cake will have a very nice crumb. If you are agitating it at too high speed, you will end up having a lot of tight air pockets inside your batter. A lot of big air pockets inside your batter. You can see here how beautifully the melted butter has been incorporated. And that's all. So the butter has been incorporated. Then we will slowly add in our milk. Milk, I'm using Amul toned milk. Sorry, I'm using Nandini toned milk. You can use Amul, you can use Nestle, whichever brand you can use. And if you're using raw milk, you can cook it, you can boil it, and then you can cool it and use it. Milk should not be from the fridge. Milk has to be at room temperature. If you're placing the milk in the fridge, put it in the microwave for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, slightly bring it to room temperature. Not boiling. Milk should not be boiling, and also milk should not be very hot. You can use whichever brand of milk that you want. You mean, no, transfer this into. I'm adding a little bit more food coloring. So this right now looks like rasmalai ka milk. And now what we will do is we will, to the dry ingredients, we will add in the wet. So I'm going to pour in the wet into the dry slowly. Okay, so don't pour all the wet into the dry. So first let's make a slightly thicker batter without any lumps. The batter is going to be quite runny. So if you add in all the wet in one go, you might have a lot of undissolvable lumps. So what you do is add in a little half of the liquid, make a thick batter. And you can see here right now there are no lumps. And this also makes sure that all the ingredients are incorporated thoroughly. When you're using hand beater, please use anything like speed 1. Don't go to speed 2 at this place. Yeah. So now the batter is good. Now we will add the remaining liquid little at a time. Enough. Add little at a time. And use a sponge. Add little at a time and incorporate slowly. I have preheated the oven at 170 degrees Celsius. And we will bake this for 45 minutes. So I've preheated the oven. The oven has to be preheating for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Any questions with respect to the batter? Pour in. Pour in little at a time, no? Just keep pouring little at a time. Pour it in drip. Keep pouring slowly. You'll get a batter which is like a crepe batter. The batter will be soft and runny. Yeah. You can see here. So smooth, no air pockets. We will use a spatula to check if the batter is completely incorporated well. Throughout the time, keep the bowl clean. So I'm checking if there are any lumps. There are no lumps. And if you're going to make a plain sponge cake, you can just pour this into your cake tin and you can bake. I'm going to create a ribbon cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the batter, just a little bit of batter into 2 different containers, and we're going to color this differently. So one I'm going to color with pink and one I'm going to color with blue. You can use gel color, liquid color, whichever color you want. So much batter is good enough. And I'm pouring this into a piping bag because I want a nice streak. I want nice ribbons in the cake. That's why it's called as a ribbon cake. So we pour it into a piping bag and then we will pour it into the batter in the tin. So from this side. Right. So now here the batter is ready. You can add some of it. So I'm using a 6-inch square tin and I have lined it with parchment paper on all the sides. And we have preheated the oven at 170 degrees Celsius and it's been preheating for the last 10 to 15 minutes and we will bake it at 45 minutes. We will use both the heating rods. We'll use both top rod and the bottom rod. Pen. So we will be using so you will be using both the top rod and the bottom rod. All right. So top and the bottom baking at 170 degrees Celsius, preheating for like 10-15 minutes. I preheat for 10 to 15 minutes and we are baking for 45 minutes. All right. All right. So now we'll pour the batter into the tin and then we'll do the ribbons. So we'll first pour half the batter. We'll first pour half the batter into the tin. Line it with parchment paper on all the sides. And we will start with both the colors. So cut the piping bag very small. You can see here, it's like as thick as the sketch pen. One bowl, white bowl, okay, measuring bowl, container, white container. And then again we repeat. So fan is not required, just both the rods, preheat both the rods and bake at 170. So we have poured the batter into 3 times. Only then you'll get this nice ribbon. Alright, so now it is done. We can pour in a little bit more of this batter. And using a barbecue stick, give it swirls. And that's all. Now this goes into the oven. If any batter is spilled on any side, please clear it up because it's going to burn and alright. So this goes into the oven. So there is our ribbon cake ready. So now I'll tell you for variations, how can you do the variations.